Hello YouTubers, Tommy here from Overland Transportation System with some big news coming to the layout room. So let me turn the camera around and get right to it. Okay, well, if you've watched my previous videos, you recall the whole series that I've been working on with the build of my new shelf layout in HO, and I haven't done any videos in quite some time. I've been pretty busy with a lot of things in life, but about the only thing that I've really done here is painted some cardboard boxes to represent some industries, to give me a footprint of how I want to work the industries and do the switching and whatnot. And that's about all I've done in a number of months, so there was no real reason to do any updates. That's surely wasn't much of an update as far as the layout. And of course you remember the N-scale Christmas layout that we had, and I had done a video on how I had planned on making this layout wild, meaning that all the scenery was going to be contoured foam just placed on these tables so that they could be removed, nothing permanent. And as you can see, I've done nothing here either. So there was no reason to do any update on that. For many months now, besides being real busy with things in life, not being too inspired to do much in construction, scratch building, all these buildings here on the HO shelf layout would have all had to been scratch built, because it's a 20-inch wide shelf and running so close to the wall that a lot of them would have to be custom flats, stuff like that. And I've done nothing there either. And I've been contemplating for quite some amount of time that I wanted to make some big changes in this room. And walking around the layout, remembering the fun that I've had building this and working out some of my switching operations and stuff, it's a little bit of a melancholy moment in that while I'm not moving out of the residence, the layout room is about to go through a big change. And I'm going to turn the camera off for just a second, and I'm going to introduce the big change that is coming here very shortly. Okay, we're back. So now here's the setting. It's Christmas morning, 9 a.m. I get a rapid knock on my door, and I'm wondering who's coming to see me this early on Christmas morning. I open the door, and it's my friend from Putnam County. He and I have been traveling down to Tony's Roundhouse Trains in Port Orange in Florida for a couple years. He has had nothing but Lionel since he was a kid, but he never had a layout. He just had trains in boxes in the closet, thinking one day that he would, when he retires, which he did this past year, he would build a layout. And he's wanted to get me into O, and seeing them run, watching the videos, it's quite impressive seeing the new Lionel with the sound and the smokes, the bells and the whistles. And he showed up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you what he handed me. And here it is. He hands me an O-gauge Mike's Train House, Delaware and Hudson C628, and he says, I got you some track, I got you an engine, got you a controller, you got no more excuses. I want to see you get into O. Well, I've been watching a lot of O videos for quite some time, and I have been fascinated by them, but the price just kept me out of that ball game. And so I've made the switch from N scale to HO. But I only have one HO engine that has sound, and I've got older HO engines, and I never really jumped into learning how to change the decoders out to sound and all that goes on with that. I do have DCC in the HO. So the big plan, it looks like I've got two choices. The HO layout can either remain, and I can do an around the ceiling layout. All my windows and door frames are the same height all the way around the room. I can either do a narrow shelf layout for the O and keep the HO. I came up with a track plan for that if I wanted to do it. And basically what this is let me get a little pointer here. A little shaky for a second. Yeah. Okay. So what we have here, this is the layout room. And basically on these three walls is where my HO layout is now. So I could go right around this whole room and then over here have a switch. This would be 82 inches from the floor. It would come around, enter a switch here, start dropping down to 78 inches, to 75, then a bridge midway down this wall over here. It could come over into an island that would be 13 by 6, which is basically what I have here in my N scale. This is 6 feet wide, and it's not quite 13 feet long. So I could basically do an island here, remove the end from the room, and this would actually be a mountain which would consist of a series of loops and figure eights, and every time the track crosses over, there would have to be a 7-inch gap between the two sets of tracks. So it would basically be 70 inches off the ground here, and it would come on down, start looping around, and it would drop down, loop around again, come across the front, change direction so you could see it in this direction, just through a series of tunnels, and come on down finally to the very end, which would be 42 or less. And here's your reverse loop. Now with the 3-rail system, you don't need an auto reverser. The power's on the center rail, and you don't need auto reversers. They can run back on themselves, and then come off this switch, and you can take the trains on and off the layout. So it would head right back up and come right back onto the upper loop around again. The only problem now is now you're heading the wrong direction for this switch to come back down. So to rectify that situation, I figure I'd put a passing siding here, and you'd pull the train in the siding, and right around in this area here, I would have an in-the-track electric uncoupler, which would unhook the caboose from the train, pull it forward a little more, and then up in this area from the handheld, you can actually throw the couplers from the handheld, pull the engine out of the siding, back it down the main, come back in, catch your caboose, back out, pull it up and drop it with the handheld, come back in here and grab the tail of your train, pull out onto the main, back up, catch your caboose, and now you're running in the opposite direction, and you're in the right direction to enter the mountain again if you wanted to. Well, that would allow me to keep my HO, but the only issue I have with this is I know me, I know how I'm wired. And I think in a short amount of time, I'd be very bored with just watching the train go around and around on a shelf layout with nothing much happening other than having to switch the train around to make it change direction. And even though the mountain could be scenic, really neat, I'm a little concerned that it may end up more like an amusement ride than a model train layout, even though the O scale is more considered toy trains. So my other choice was to take down the shelf layout, store it away in a rack, once again pack up my N scale as I've done in the past, and basically have an open footprint for a brand new layout in O. And the track plan that I'm really leaning towards is this one here. And what we have here is basically the same footprint as the HO right now, that is on here. But what it would do is make a loop in this doorway here. It'd make a loop, and where I'm standing in this aisleway would be right here, 36-inch wide aisleway. It would come on down and angle here so I could still access the spare room, and it could just travel on this outer loop. Then I could enter this switch and go into this mountain area that would be just slightly lower grade than the outside. And now when it comes out, it's now changed direction. And to rectify that, throw another switch here, and now it enters this other loop, which is actually 7 inches lower than the blue line that you see. And as it comes back around, now it's going back in the original direction again. This right here is going to be either a lift bridge or a swing gate to enter in. Right over in this little corner here could be the controller. And this little spur line here, you can take the trains on and off. And right in the front of here, you can have a storage area for them. So you can put your trains on the track here. You can ride around here, exit, go around the loop as many times as you want, come in the mountain area, go the opposite way, and then enter again. And you can back down and unhook your cars and swap them out, swap your engines out. And so you're not limited as to your direction. And this is the plan that I'm presently leaning towards. And I may begin construction on this within a couple weeks. So that's the big news going on with the OTS Railroad. So I thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and we'll begin a new build. Okay, bye for now.